Sky Blue Fans TV. For the fans, by the fans.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sky Blue Fans TV. My name's Mark Smith. Tonight we'll be talking about the 3-3 draw, very eventful game against Watford on Saturday for the first half of the show. Second half of the show, we'll be talking about the recent summer window. We'll get the thoughts of our panelists as to what they feel, and obviously your thoughts as well. All comments are welcome on the game yesterday. Let us know how you felt about the game yesterday and also about the summer transfer window. And maybe there's other questions we could ask, obviously, now as we head into the international break, which might be worth considering. Who do you feel has been our most impressive player so far? Who's been the most surprising player? What's the best goal you've seen? I think most people would go positive yesterday's goal, but all your opinions are all valid. Your best performance you've seen so far in the first 5 games of the season, and last but not least, who could be doing more? What could we do to improve the current situation? To talk about all that and much more, I've been joined by our 3 guests. I've got Glenn Watkin, the Sky Blue Hub. Glenn, good evening, sir. You all right?
Good evening, Mark. You all right?
Yeah, and I know you don't post on Twitter today, and I thought it might be worth a further discussion on the show. So thanks for the questions. I saw that on social media, so thanks for that. So yeah, obviously we welcome all comments. Claudio, evening, how are we doing?
Good, thanks. All well, thank you.
Good. And last but not least, we've got Rhys. Rhys, evening, how are we doing?
Yeah, good evening, all. You all right?
Good. Yeah, not bad, all good. Okay, let's gonna talk about the show. Talk about the game even on Saturday. So, one change was made to the team from the Sunderland match. Haji Wright started in place of Eddie Sims. Was everyone happy with that starting lineup? Was anyone sort of surprised? Anything we've done differently from the team that Robin selected? Are we all happy with that at the start of the game? It's an open-ended question, really.
It's what.
Oh,
He's gone on mute, bless him.
yeah. Rhys, are you happy with that team?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was the obvious change that Sims had to come out and had you right to come in. So yeah, no arguments really. I think not much else you can really change.
No. Claudio, can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't mute. Yeah. I was still.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Technology. Yes, right. Discussion in the car was basically right for Sims. That's what we thought would happen. In our heads, we had all sorts of formations, but we knew Mark, being the pragmatic man that he is, will just make the one change, basically.
Yeah. Glenn, anything you'd have done differently if you was in Mark Robbins' position?
I think in hindsight, there is an argument to start Sims with the way the game went, because I think it was more suited to having 2 big lads up front with a bit of presence than it was Godden. I think Godden had the least touches of any player yesterday. But yeah, I don't think you can blame the team. I think Wright was probably unlucky to miss out against Sunderland, to be honest. And yeah, the options are kind of limited. What else we can do, really?
Yeah. I mean, I was happy enough with the team, and you can't really drop Matty Godden. He's top goal scorer of the season. I think it's now four goals in all competitions, I think. And I get the argument for starting Ellis Sims and Haji Wright, but I just feel Ellis Sims hasn't quite done enough to merit a start. Although I think he probably had his best game against Sunderland, I thought, the previous week. But I thought all in all it was probably the right side there. Let's get into the game itself. Fairly cagey start, I guess, for the first 15-20 minutes. But on the 20th minute, we get the penalty. Anyone, Rhys, would you think that was a penalty from what you saw of it?
To be honest, I I thought it was quite harsh. I mean, there's mixed views on it, but if that was given the other way and it was given against us, I think we'll all be raving. But I can understand, how the ball rebounded off him, but it looked like his arm was in a natural position. But I'm sure there's a split sort of opinion on it.
Yeah, I think Valerian Ismail was, let's say, pretty upset about the decision. Claudio, was you, from what I mean, we were quite a fair way back from it. I couldn't really tell really from the angle I had. I've seen the replay since. It has hit the arm. Was you happy with that decision?
Well, I mean,
it was a penalty.
I mean, I'm in block 18. I didn't have a great view at all. And I just saw them all appealing. And the way they appealed, I thought it was going to be a really big handball. But when I saw the replay last night, he was only a yard away, wasn't he? It was something and nothing. And like Rhys was saying, if that had been us, we would have been very happy. But it didn't matter because Matty obliged, didn't he, and missed or had it saved, whatever. But no, that's we were lucky with that, and we should have made the most of it.
Yeah, I think the penalty. I think first of all, it was a good save by the keeper. I think you could say Matty could have put it right in the corner. He hasn't quite got it right in the corner. The execution wasn't quite probably as he wanted it to be. He went to the keeper's right, and to be fair, the keeper stuck his arm out, strong hand, and I think he deserves a bit of credit for the save. I thought it was a good save. He guessed right, and I mean, I think Jim Brown put a tweet out today saying that's his first miss. He scored 11 penalties on the trot. That's his first miss. So, I think the keeper deserves a bit of credit for that. What was your thoughts, Glenn, on A, the penalty decision, and B, the actual penalty itself?
I think it's a very harsh penalty. I don't know what's handball these days. You look at the one that is in the Luton game from Ward-Prowse, that looked more of a clear penalty. The arm's way more out than their lads was. I didn't like all the shenanigans with the penalty in the build-up. I think the ref needs to be stronger. They were scuffing the penalty spot up. There was loads of stuff going on. We got him before we took it. And I think with VAR, I think he's off his line. I think his back foot's just on the line or just in front of it when Godden hits it. So, but it's a good save. Like I say, he dives the wrong way. It's a great penalty. But Godden needs to put it a little bit higher or right in the corner. And that's 2 in 2 he's missed, obviously, because he missed one in pre-season against Shrewsbury. But yeah, it was a chance and we should have really took it. I thought the interesting one was the one later on when Eccles got booked for diving. I thought that was more of a penalty, but I haven't seen it back yet. But I thought that looked a clear penalty because Eccles has got no reason to dive because he's clean through and into the box. But yeah, then he booked him for diving, which seemed very bizarre. But there was quite a few bizarre decisions by the ref on Saturday's game. Yeah, I don't think he was the best.
I see. The other thing I was disappointed with was Casey Palmer, the follow-up. I thought he should have scored that personally. He blazed it over, and I thought it looked easier to score than this. I think,
his body shape's all wrong. He's leaning back. He's like he's trying to steer it into the top corner, then just get anything on it and hit the target. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I missed it kind of how bad it was, but obviously watching the highlights back, it's really poor technique for somebody who's quite good technical. I mean, it was almost like it was a centre half had fallen into because he just skied it wide, and that's criminal not to hit the target.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say it's an open goal, but the goal's pretty much gaping, and really you've got to do better than that. I thought that was pretty poor. Really, I was disappointed at that. Rhys, I think. Do you think Godden obviously wasn't great execution, but was you also disappointed with Casey Palmer's effort there on the rebound? Because I thought he should have scored that for me.
Yeah, I do. I think you just need a little bit more composure. I think that's where Palmer needs to improve a little bit. I think on the ball, he's very good. He's very calm in key areas, but it just seems to, he's creating. He's doing all the hard work in the games, especially against Sunderland yesterday. He created chances out of nothing for himself, but then he hasn't got that final finish in him at the moment. So yeah, the rebound. I mean, yeah, he blazes it straight over. He needs to be a little bit calmer and more composed, maybe a rush of blood to the head. But as an attacking midfielder, number 10, you expect a little bit better from that, to be honest.
Yeah, Okay, let's get some few comments here from our audience. Thank you for your comments, and please keep them coming in. Got a comment in from Paul Hughes. Great goal from Marty, but a terrible penalty. Very like the penalty against Shrewsbury, too near the keeper, but brilliant strike later on. I think a bit Matty rather than Marty. Palmer had his best game, I thought, and Milan looks fitter. Steve Bell, property, even all disappointing yesterday's game. That was 3 points there for the taking. And Ian Pimlott makes a comment about, in this age of VAR, we've seen handballs given which would never been given before. So yeah, I think that's an interesting comment. 35th minute of the game, Watford take the lead. I think it's Rajkovic with the goal. Let's go to you, Glenn. What was your thoughts on the goal? What could we have done better to prevent that goal from going in?
Defend better. I think it all came from us picking the wrong option, and then we got cut apart down the our left hand side again, which is a worrying trend when you look at the goal that we conceded against Leicester. That came down that side. The goal against Swansea came down that side. One of the goals against Wimbledon was a cross from that side going in. It's poor. I mean, I think the only thing that helps the striker is he actually stumbled. He fell. As he ran in, and I think that's why I think it was Thomas or Latti missed him and didn't know where he was. But yeah, it's a good. Tom Ince is good. Tom Ince is a good winger. You know, he gets in that position, he's gonna pick a good ball out. He's an experienced pro who's been around the Championship, and he's a very good Championship performer. So it's a good ball in, and it's a finish that he should really score. But once again, I think we need to do better, and we got caught out. And I think that was the trend with all 3 goals. We got caught out by making mistakes, and then we got punished really badly by Watford. They were pretty clinical. I think they didn't have that many shots on target, really. I think they had 5 and scored with 3, and a couple of them were late on, really. The one that Wilson saved in the last minute. So yeah, just disappointing. It's an avoidable goal again.
Yeah, I think that stats tell me that it was 14 shots Watford had, 5 on target. So it wasn't massive. They weren't as clinical as you may think they were, but they certainly looked a threat. I think, Claudia, there was a combination, really. Bobby Thomas, I felt, was at fault for all 3 goals. I think more the second and third goals we'll come to later on. But I just feel like we just seem to lack concentration at the back. That's the thing that I felt was just we didn't pick up Rajovic in the middle. And I guess Glenn's got a good point that maybe the fact that he stumbled has played a part in that. But what was your view on the first goal, Glenn?
We were just slow to react, weren't we? Because it was on the counter or transition. That's the new word now, isn't it? And they just caught us completely flat-footed. Our wing backs, De Silva was out of position. Thomas, I think, was caught in between. Do I cover? Do I go across? Do I stay where I am? Like I said, the guy stumbled, and I didn't realise until I saw the highlights how badly he did stumble because I thought it was an own goal actually from where we were. It's just we've given those goals away, haven't we? A lot actually, where we've been caught on the counter, one ball straight through, and as soon as you see it, you think, oh no, we're in trouble here, and 9 times out of 10 we are, and yeah, it was just we reacted slowly to it. Which was the disappointing thing, I think. Somebody needed to take control, and that happened with I think the third goal. Was it the third goal or the second goal? We had the shot from the edge of the box. Similar sort of thing. You know, at some point, someone needs to say, I'm having this, I'm clearing it, I'm going in there. And they didn't. Maybe that's because, you know, they're a new unit, aren't they, basically? So maybe that's what the problem is at the minute.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on the goal that they scored, Rhys?
Yeah, it's a poor goal. I think Glenn made a point. I think when you're defending, De Silva was out of position again, and I want to add that I thought De Silva was really good yesterday until he come off, but he seems to have their moments where he's caught too high up at the pitch, and there's been a few goals that's happened down that left side. So for me, Thomas, he needs to. You can't give players for that quality the amount of space that he did. I mean, he had so much time to think about what he was going to do with it. If Thomas closes down the space and Ince doesn't, he'll have to rush and put his cross in. I think he's had so much time to think about what he's going to do. It's just created the chance. But yeah, it was a poor goal to give away, and yeah, Thomas has to get closer, definitely.
Yeah, I'll talk more about Thomas later on because I thought he had an absolute, probably his worst game for the club yesterday, and he has been really good up until then. But he was pretty poor yesterday, to say the least. But we did hit back with an equaliser from Milan Van Ivek, or Milan, as I'll say, because I can't pronounce his surname so well. But when I saw him shaping up to take the free kick, I was like, oh, what are you doing? It's too far out. Not in a million years you're going to score this. But no, he hit the jackpot. Fantastic free kick. I thought the keeper could have saved it. What was your thoughts, Glenn, on the goal? Did you think their keeper could have saved it, or did you great execution from Van Ivek?
I knew he was hitting it just the way he set it up. I said to Dad, I said he's hitting it, and I said he's hitting it, and he's going left hand side, either top or he's going top corner, or he's going to go bottom corner. Just the way he was going to hit it, and I could see it, and I thought the keeper should have got it to the naked eye because he got there. I watched the goal back from behind the goal, and he's too far over towards his left, his right hand post. He's just that little bit too far over. That meant when he died, even though he's a big keeper, it was just that little bit short getting it, and Van Ivek hit it, so it just dipped right on the goal line. So it's virtually impossible to save, really, because you're going to struggle to do it. But yeah, it's great technique. I mean, I wonder what else he can do. I mean, he's got a long throw. He can score 30-yard free kicks. I mean, he's probably going to score a bicycle kick next week or something like that. He's definitely getting better. I mean, that's the best game he's had for us. I was really disappointed that he went off, but obviously he had a little bit of a hamstring problem. But I really liked the look of him first off. He started looking like Maatsen did at times for us. He got the ball and ran with it and showed some real good things. But yeah, I think the keeper's got to do better. He's an international keeper who's played in the Premier League. I think you've got to do better. You should set the wall up better and do better. If you get there, you've got to save it, really. I'd expect Wilson to save that, I think.
Yeah. Claudia, how impressed have you been with Van Ivek, obviously with the goal, and this is all-round play generally? Is he someone that you've been impressed with?
No, I think he's great. I think the two lads, both wing backs, are really good. They're pacey. They get up the wings when the opportunity arises. And they're tricky, aren't they? Both of them, actually. But Van Ivek is excellent. It's funny when he stepped up. Me and Luke were having a conversation. What do you reckon? And he was going, I reckon he's going to smack this in. I'm going, no, we're not going to score from here, surely.
Yeah.
And we're saying a similar thing. What's he got up his? What's his next trick? Because I was on a Watford podcast last week, and I said to him, oh, he's got a bit of an extra set of a throw-in. I said, which no one knew about. And I spoke to the lad who organised their podcast. Says, we had no idea he could do that free kick. That's a new thing on us. So it's, I've been impressed. And he's engaging with the crowd already, isn't he? Before the game, he's up for it. I think we've struck lucky with him. I think definitely.
Yeah, no, I heard a lot. We've heard a lot of good things when he signed, and you know what it's like. You just don't know what to expect. But yeah, I think that's definitely his best game for the club yesterday. I thought he was.
And also the dynamics of our team changed when they both went off. When De Silva went off and Van Ivek went off, we didn't look as good. We kind of then went a bit more direct, didn't we, because of that? But we looked weaker down the flanks then, because you could see straight away Jake Bidwell is no De Silva. He may be slightly better defensively, but he wasn't getting up the wing, was he, like De Silva does as well? So
no,
but I suppose that's it's all part of the building of the new squad, isn't it? But yeah,
I think in Bidwell's case, he hasn't had a lot of minutes, so that might explain it. I mean, Bidwell has been really good. Like I thought last season, he was really good for us, but he didn't have a good game yesterday when he came on. I'll admit that. I'm a big fan of Bidwell, but I thought he made too many mistakes.
He's not going to bomb past the defender, is he? That's what I mean. He's not going to pass someone, which is when you got wing backs. All teams with really good wing backs, that's what they can do. They can get past their defenders and get balls in. That's part of the game.
Yeah, and I think
he's not a wing back, is he either? That's the other thing, really.
No, he's a conventional left back, and he can fill into the back three as a centre half as well. And I think with the tactics that Robins plays, he likes the wing backs to attack because he's got. That's why he plays three at the back, because they kind of cover them defensively. So that's a lot to it. Rhys Van Ivak, is he the player that has caught your eye this season from all the new signings, and also second half the question? We haven't scored many free kicks generally this, for a long time. I think the last free kick I've seen us score was Casey Palmer against Rex in the cup, so that was a good thing to see as well.
Yeah, it was sort of a strange run up, wasn't it? And I think we're all expecting Palmer to take that, and then when he takes the ball, I mean, it could go anywhere. I think I agree the keeper should have done better, but we're not complaining about that, to be honest. Yeah, I think Milan's going to be a fan's favourite. He looks, he's getting. I think the worrying thing is for other teams that he's only going to improve and get better than what he is right now. I think he's still finding his feet, but he's doing good things. His recovery. He showed a lot of recovery yesterday where he was caught a little bit high, and his pace got him back into a position to make the tackles. So I think that's the difference between him and De Silva at the moment, where De Silva didn't recover that well for their first goal. But talking about Bidwell, I think the controversial thing is that De Silva is good going forward, and we've said before that his defending isn't great, but the goals we're conceding over there, I don't think we concede with Bidwell in the team. I think that's just playing devil's advocate. But as good as a threat we are going forward with De Silva, I think their first goal, Bidwell closes him down. Every time a winger gets the ball, Bidwell sprints out and he closes the gap. And to be honest with you, I don't think Ince gets that crossing yesterday if Bidwell's playing. So you got to look at both sides of the coin, really. But yeah, going back on Milan, I think he's going to be a fan's favourite. He's always playing to the crowd, and he's only going to get better. And I can't wait to see what else he's got, because he's surprising us every week, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's getting better and better each game now. I think that's definitely his best game in the club, and I expect him to carry on with that. I think he really immersed himself in the game, he immersed himself with the fans, and yeah, I thought he was superb yesterday. So we're going to the break, 1-1 at half time, and second half, kind of get off to the worst possible start. Watford regained the lead through Matthias Martins, the 52nd minute. Glenn, another goal where they've hit us on the counter attack. And this is where I feel Bobby Thomas has got to be better for me. He's backing off. He allows him to have, roam into our box and unleashes a great shot past Ben Wilson. What was your thoughts on the goal?
It was a carbon copy of the one that Yao scored for Reading against us last season. Yeah. It was almost a carbon copy. We let him run with it. The guys had two screamers against Blackburn, exactly the same thing, where he's cut in and hit rockets. Why on earth hasn't Thomas been shown that in the training in the week and said, look, whatever you do, send him down the line. Don't let him cut in because he can shoot. And I was sitting there to Dad saying, don't let him cut in, because I know we'll put this top corner. He did. It's a great finish. It's a great run by the lad. He really looks like one of the liveliest players, but they did the same last season to us. Pedro went on a run and we didn't close him down. It's the same carbon copy, the same side, and we've just got to be better at that. You've got to gamble, and we're almost scared of going and challenge them in case they go by us. But yeah, it's one of those goals which is, Thomas has got to do better, and you just got to gamble, and that's what Faz does. And sometimes he doesn't get it right. He gambles and he tries to get something on it. There was plenty of times where he pulled some absolute cracking last-ditch challenges and blocks to stopping balls going through. But yeah, it was just a really, really frustrating goal. Good goal from a Watford point of view. Annoying because I'm sick of seeing goals conceded like that by us.
Yeah. Claudio, that's the biggest frustration I have with this goal, is the fact that he keeps backing off. He doesn't even put a tackle in. And I'd sooner he just puts a tackle in and fouls him and picks up a yellow card. And I want us to be a bit more like that. I want us to be a bit more streetwise and say, well, I want opposition fans to say, oh, Coventry a bit the dirty side. They just bring, they foul players. But I want my teams to be like that, because I want my teams to be hard to beat. I mean, what was going through Thomas's head in your view in that one? Is it just nervousness, or just wasn't sure what to do, or what did you put it down to?
I think it was weird because when he eventually tried to block in, Ben Sheaf was there as well, and neither seemed to do anything. And I could see Ben Wilson throwing his arms about afterwards, but you kind of think, well, surely he would have been screaming, push up, or engage wherever. And that meant somebody was meant to come around the back of him and cover. I mean, I'm sure if he'd have just put a foot in, there would have been somebody around. I don't think he'd have gone straight through him. Maybe he just thought he was the last man, and if I get it wrong, I'm going off. But he was hesitant, wasn't he? And didn't make a decision. It's a bit like the first goal, and that was frustrating because we're sitting there thinking we're on top now. This is it. We're going to turn it around. We're going to win it, and it sets you back again, doesn't it? So it's frustrating. I think he just completely got it wrong, basically.
Yeah,
completely. And he hasn't got much wrong either. That's what was frustrating. He just did everything wrong yesterday, basically.
Yeah. Fingers crossed he learns from that. Rhys, what was your view on their second goal?
Yeah, all in agreement. I think it was just poor defending. He was hesitating. He didn't know whether to go to the ball. Probably worried about his trickery and pace, maybe. Didn't want to get beat. But he has to close the gap. It's simple as that. This is what concerns me. It wasn't just the counter-attacks that we were susceptible to yesterday. It's the lack of pace in midfield. And it goes back to having Sheaf and Eccles in there. And I'm not sure what other option we've got because Ayari looks a decent player, but he doesn't look like he's got that pace either. So we haven't really got that recovery pace, and that's going to be a concern. But yeah, the only other thing Thomas could have done really is showed him the outside, close that gap a little bit, but give him that option that he has to go down the line. And even if he does beat Thomas down the line, we're potentially could have dealt with it better than him cutting him on the inside. So yeah, like you said, I think Thomas had a shocker yesterday, but I'm a big fan of his. I really like what I've seen so far, so I think that's a write-off. He'll only learn from it. We've got a young team, and he's a young lad himself, so he'll improve. I think he just had one of them afternoons.
Yeah, exactly. I got a couple more comments from our audience. Ian says that two best wing backs I've seen for years. Bobby had a nightmare, but he'll learn from it. And Paul Hughes said that Milan's our new Danny Thomas. Claudio will know what I mean. A great player, Danny Thomas. I do remember. Well, I do vaguely remember him. I think he played in the 80s. I think memory serves me right. But
he's an excellent player. He's got an England cap. I think he got called up when he was with us, but he definitely got called up when he went to Tottenham. Yeah. And his career was ended by a terrible tackle by a guy called Maguire who played for QPR. He took him out basically and ended his career. Yeah. But he was excellent. Sort of same stature as De Silva, actually, that sort of build.
Yeah.
But yeah, top player.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so let's go to the comedy part of the game where we get our second goal through most unlikely of sources from an own goal. Wesley Hurt, I think his name is. And that was really just a tonic we needed, because I felt at that time we were just struggling to get kind of a foothold in the game. I'm going to go to you, Glenn. Was that the worst own goal you've seen live in a football match?
It's the worst own goal I've seen for Cot involving a Cov game. Yeah, I think the only other ones I remember is I think Frank Sinclair scored one. I think he scored 2 in 2 weeks. One against Arsenal for Leicester, and then he scored another one. I think it was for against Chelsea. I know I've seen it do similar. But the ironic thing was we were talking about the Rangers game at half time, where their centre half did the same in midweek. He passed it straight past the keeper, and they lost 5-1. And we were talking about that. But yeah, I don't know, because obviously you've reffed a bit, Mark. What would have happened if Bachmann had dived on the ball and handled it and stopped it? Because I don't know why he slid. Because he was trying to slide for it. He was never going to get it. I mean, if he dived on it and handled it, it would have just been an indirect free kick, wouldn't it? Because he classed it as picking it. So why did he try and slide? That was just a weird thing. Watching it back, it's like he was never going to get it sliding it. But yeah, it was Keystone Cops, and then obviously the VT people kept playing it over and over again. Was absolutely hilarious, and all the Cop fans just chanting and taking the mick. Yeah, I think they wanted the earth to swallow them up. But yeah, they looked a mess at the back, trying to play out all the time, and there was loads of times that they got us in with a chance.
Did you feel, Rhys, that once we got that second goal, that the belief was that we could go on and win this game, or after that, because of what you saw with the comical, the pure comicalness, if that's such a word, of their goal?
Yeah, I think momentum was with us then. It seemed that way anyway. I do remember us scoring 2 own goals in the 90s. I think it was away at Man United, I believe, which were a couple of shockers. But yeah, I think that's one of the funniest goals I've seen, to be honest. But yeah, I think we had the momentum then, and obviously we're going to go on and talk about it. But then we gift them a lead again, don't we? So yeah, it came at the right time. I felt that we got back into it once, and then we obviously got gifted the second. But I believe we were going to go and win the game after that. But yeah, comical defending. I think there was a guy on the Watford podcast on Thursday that come on and said that it's only a matter of time until their keeper gets caught out, and I think their keeper it really wasn't. I couldn't say it was his fault, but he did seem to play as a bit of a sweeper. So that's going to happen. I think if he didn't look too convincing with the ball as well, he looked quite shaky. And Watford at the back, I thought, were as bad as they were good going forward, to be honest.
I'll make sure I turn my mic on when I speak. I think it almost reminds me like Brad Collins. The pre-season's a bit like that. He's like another sweeper. So I'm kind of glad he wasn't playing for us. Claudio, you've been watching obviously COD for many years. Is that possibly the worst own goal that you've seen in a live match going in our favour?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Lee Dixon away at
yes.
Arsenal.
Yes.
It was he actually chipped Seaman from about 30 yards, I think it was.
Yes.
And we had one years and years ago. I think it's actually on telly. Jeff Blockley for us. We were playing Chelsea and he lobbed our keeper. And what's funny, there's a little lad behind the goal pointing and laughing at him.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But yeah, the Lee Dixon one. We can't remember too many in recent years. There haven't been that many, has there, really?
No.
That's a proper own goal, isn't it?
Yeah. It was funny. And I was there. I was also at the game. Lee Dixon, Chip Seaman. I think we were in the yellow kit. I think.
It's hilarious.
I want to say that's when Nuddy made his debut for us. I think around that sort of time. But that was a comical goal. So 2-2, and then equally they get their third, and you could argue it was a comical goal on the other end. Bobby Thomas again probably at fault. Well, what was at fault for that goal? Glenn, do you just put it down to lack of concentration on that one from his point of view?
I'm not going to solely blame Thomas. I'm going to blame the 3 of them. I think Tats plays the ball into our own box, which causes Thomas to have trouble because his options are then limited. If Tats just plays it back down the line, Thomas can either just boot it out of play, put it in row Z because you can't score when the ball's in row Z. He can hit it down the line, or he can go back. As soon as he takes that touch inside, Wilson's never getting there, and Wilson needs to be telling him just to clear it. I don't know why he tried to just tow it back. And then, it was horrible. It reminded me of the 6-2 Yeovil game when Grimmer did the same with Burge. He tried to back pass it, and the strikers just ran through and scored. And it was just like, you could just see it was going to happen. And it's a poor goal to concede again. Yeah, you can't be doing that. I don't know why he tried to play it back to Wilson, because he'd been better over hitting it. He just tried to be clever and just cushioning it back to him, and there was never enough pace on it. And even then, they still nearly balls it up because Latty got something on it, but he just couldn't stop it going in.
I felt it was like a theme throughout the 90 minutes. I felt we really struggled to play against Watford's press. I think that was the thing. Watford pressed us really well. And did you feel with that goal, Claudia?
They did like Stoke did, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It was like Stoke and Luton. Sorry, it was like Stoke and Luton did against us. They pressed us really high with a 3. And we can't defend that, and that's the worry. I think teams are going to notice that that's something that we struggle against, and we need to find a way to cope with it, because we don't cope with it, just as it shows by the amount of goals we conceded against Stoke and conceded yesterday.
Yeah. Claudia, as I was just saying earlier about the press, because I felt that was the theme of Watford. They were pressing us all game, and I felt we struggled to play through that. And I guess that goal could be put down to that a bit. We just seemed to panic a little bit. What was your take on their third goal?
Well, our problem is distribution when somebody plays the high press. When Wilson gets the ball, he's got to put it down. He's got to look to play it as soon as possible. You can't allow them to get set up. You allow them to get set up, that means our three centre halves are going to struggle to get it out wide to the wing backs. You need to get it on the floor, get it out quick. Also, you need a midfielder who wants the ball, who actually wants to receive it. And with Ben Sheaf and Eccles, they're not those type of players. This is where the Hamer equation comes in now, because he's the one who used to come and get it off the defenders. He'd demand it. We're looking almost like those two don't want it. Casey Palmer occasionally wants it, but he doesn't really come looking for it. So then they try and get it out wide or go long, and it was just coming straight back again. And it was too slow. I mean, it was too slow, basically. I mean, we must have all sat there yesterday thinking, come on, speed it up a bit. You know, even when we were 2-1 down, it was still too slow getting it out, keep the momentum going. And it's only when we quickened it up late on, where we went a bit longer, we looked like we're going to score goals. You know, you can play the Pep way, but you can only play it if you've got players who can play it. And I mean, it'd be interesting what happens with Ben in goal, because I think this is why he's brought Brad Collins in, because I think he thinks he can play with the ball. Yeah. And it could be the Pep and Joe Hart scenario, where everybody couldn't understand why we want to get rid of Joe Hart, and they bring this guy who can play football. And that's how I feel at the minute. It's got to be quicker. And that's last season was similar, wasn't it, as well at times. And like I say, if you're under pressure, he's facing the keeper, just knock it out for a corner. Just go safe, just put it out. But he completely lost his bearings, didn't he, there? And Glenn was right. It was a multitude of cock-ups. And sometimes just clear your lines. I'm just somebody who played amateur football, but you hear the professionals say it, percentages, clear your lines if you're in trouble. And, they're not Man City at the back, are they? So just play safe, and that's what they didn't do.
I think it's a style that Robins has always tried to want us to play, though. And even when we're going back to the League One Championship season, we always want to play short goal kicks, and we always try to play out from the back. And I just think we just seemed to panic. I think Rob Thomas seemed to panic under pressure, lost the ball, and they robbed us and got an easy goal. And for me, it's just poor.
If you do it quick, it's great. But I think as soon as you slow it down, you allow them to set up, and they had three up top, didn't they? And these three lads could cover the ground as well. That was the issue. It's all right if one of them was a bit lazy, but they weren't. They were working hard, and then we were in trouble. And we were in trouble for a lot of the game, actually.
Yeah. Rhys, what was your thoughts on the debacle, their third goal?
Yeah, it was poor, wasn't it? It was multiple errors. I think you look at the first 10 minutes, and Watford just pressed us so quickly and high. And you think there was that one time where we were a bit all at sea, but then Wilson pumps a long ball through to Hadji Wright, and the defence of Watford were poor. So I think we could have gone a bit more direct yesterday. But on the flip side, in Robin's post-match interview, he says that he wants his boys to play. He wants them to play out from the back. And we're going to have mistakes like that. But on the other hand, the old saying goes, if in doubt, clear it out. So I think that's what Thomas should have done, or even, like you said, with Sakamoto there. But if Robbins has asked them to play football, and that's what they're trying to do. But the only other concern I've got is, I think Latabodiere has been brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but he's not naturally a left-sided centre back, and you can tell that every time he got the ball, he was coming onto his right foot. It's not natural, and I'm not saying to drop Latabodiere, because I think there's a possibility that we could try him in midfield because he plays there for his national side. But we've got Binks and obviously now Kitchen that's come in. I think we've got to give one of them a go there, because then they're naturally left-footed players. And we go back to the first goal, Thomas is in a left centre-back position and he's on his weaker side. So we need a naturally left-sided player to play there. And it helps that will help playing out from the back as well, because you've got a natural left footer there. But yeah, poor goal. It was annoying because like I said, I thought we had momentum then and we could have gone and won the game. But it happens. Move on. That's the way it is, I suppose.
Yeah, and we do move on. We get the equaliser on the 87th minute. Matty Godden making amends for the penalty miss. And Glenn, that's the thing. That's the thing I like about Matty Godden is he could have had one of them games where he blasted over, but he took that goal really well, didn't he? It was great play. I must say, Haji Wright, great play on the right. Second assist for him, and Matty Godden smashed it into the bottom corner. What was your sort of views on the partnership between Haji and Matty Godden? Do you think they're looking good up front?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Wright yesterday. He just runs with it so smoothly. He's like a Rolls Royce. At times when Gyökeres was running with it, you'd almost think it was just a bit ungainly, and sometimes it was just pure brute strength. Whereas Wright, when he runs with it, he's just like so smooth, good first touch. I mean, I don't know what the centre halves do. He was quite clever, Wright. He kind of did like the rugby league, rugby union, American football, like the fend off with their arm. And whether he caught him in the face or not, he obviously did because the centre half's gone down like he's been punched. But then he has the awareness to pick the ball out to Godden, and it's an absolute cracking finish. I didn't realise how good it was till I watched it back. And like I said, Godden hardly had that many touches of the ball, but he scores goals. I just wonder whether we might be better sacrificing Palmer as the 10 and going 3 up top, and maybe we play Sakamoto a bit higher, and then you can have Wright working wide-ish, which a lot of his good work yesterday was from down that left-hand channel, and then you play Godden or Sims through the middle, just as something different, because I think we need a plan B, and I'm not sure Ayari is a centre midfielder to play alongside Sheaf or Eccles. I think he needs to play in the 3 in midfield, or he needs to play as the 10, because I think he got caught out a few times picking the wrong ball. But yeah, really, really good goal. I think we deserved it. 3-3 was pretty much a fair result, I think, on it.
Yeah. What were your views on the goal and general play from Claudio on the goal?
I thought it was great. It was a swift build-up, wasn't it? Really quick, and that's what we needed. It was a total change to what we were doing previously. And yeah, I've said this already a few times. That it's Haji Wright is a John Fashanu with skill, basically. He's got that sort of slender build, but he can do stuff. He's not normally brute force. I mean, that's the first. I think he did that because he got one in the face in the first half, and I think he realised we're going to have to use a bit of muscle here, and it was a great setup and great finish. I mean, I love it when Matty Godden scores because he's a top player for us. His goal record's great. He sort of stood aside for Victor last season, really, and yet again he played the whole game, didn't he? I think he's played every minute so far, which is incredible because last season he kept taking him off after 60 or 70 minutes, didn't he? He was the one who's being sacrificed every game. Must have been something in Vic's contract, I reckon, last season. But yeah, I mean, the problem is we've got Palmer playing in that hole, and he does some nice stuff. Every game so far, he does that one mazy run when then he has a shot and it's basically a back pass to the keeper. But after 65 minutes, he's flagging. He's gone. And I was saying to my lad, I said, he's doing a lot of walking around now in that midfield. And if you got 2 up top and those 2 deep line midfielders, he's got to be working really, really hard to support the front 2. And that's where I thought the switch would have been made, actually. I thought Sakamoto in there or Ayari, basically. And yeah, but that was a brilliant goal, wasn't it? I thought it was fantastically taken. Great finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see him scoring the goals again. It's brilliant.
Yeah. How impressed, Rhys, have you been with Matty Godden? I think for me, he's well and truly silenced the critics because he had obviously a lot of critics. I think we're all a bit critical of him after Leicester, but he's been brilliant since then, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he doesn't really. Well, he doesn't need to silence the critics. He's got his record proves it in the past. He's a goal scorer with a 1 in 3, probably better than that actually. I think we've got a very strange fan base. They've got short memories a lot of the time. It's almost like they've forgotten what Matty Godden had done in League One, with the goals he scored in that division. And, and he had some horrible injuries, absolutely horrible injuries, and he's come back from them. And he's, I hope he stays as long as he can stay, because those sort of goal scorers are hard to find in the box, the fox in the box, whatever. They're very, very hard to find, and they're expensive as well. Yeah. So that's the other key. Everybody wants that kind of goal scorer, and we've got one as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Rhys, Matty Godden in the goals again. And, how impressed have you been with him this season?
I don't think it's ever been in question. I think obviously we had Vic last year, who was the top lad up there, and Godden had to settle with playing second fiddle. But I think he's our main man now, and he looks up for it. I think, he wasn't as involved yesterday, but as long as he's on the pitch and he gets a chance, you're going to put your money on him scoring. I think yesterday, as soon as the ball was laid back and I saw it was Godden, I was cheering before it left his foot. I knew it was going in. I think when you've got Godden as a natural predator as he is, I think we've always got a chance. And I'm pleased he signed a contract. I think there was always question marks over him, but now Vic's gone. It's giving him the opportunity now to shine like he did before Vic comes. So I think he'll bag us some goals this year. The goal itself, I think, again, it was direct. I think it was a good ball from Sakamoto down the line. Hadji Wright makes something of nothing, really, and that goes for their defender as well. We made something of nothing. I'm not sure what he's doing. If that was one of our defenders, we'd be going absolutely bonkers. I mean, he's got taps in the face, and their manager was saying he got punched in the face. It's not a punch in the face. He's got his arm up and he's fallen over. I'm sorry, but he needs to be dropped. It's a disgrace that he goes over from there, and it opens it up. And great ball in. I think what was good about it is Hadji Wright puts the ball in where you expect somebody to be. I don't think he necessarily put the ball for Godden there. I think he just put it back in the area, and it was good to see. And great finish. Godden's back. The lawnmower's back. There you go.
Yeah. Lawnmower's back. Always great to see. And unfortunately, we didn't quite get that winning goal. I think we had a header, from McFadden, from a corner, which went just wide of the left post. I think that was probably the closest we got to scoring. But all in all, I think a frustrating result, wasn't it? I mean, 2 points from our home games, Watford and Sunderland, is a bit disappointed. 14th, going to break a 14th position. But how do you assess the first 5 games so far, Glenn? Are you optimistic, pessimistic, or neither?
I'm optimistic. Come from my timeline on Facebook about a year ago. I was down in Cardiff, and I remember looking at the Sky Blue Fans TV group chat because you guys had gone to Norwich away, and obviously we lost 3-0. He dropped Victor, he dropped Godden. We played pretty average. I think we had 1 shot on target. Robbins did the post-match interview, and everyone was like worried that he was going to go, and he'd had enough. And look where we are now. I think we went on a run of 2 defeats in 12 after the Norwich game. We're still on a real good run of form. We haven't lost that many games. We've lost Leicester and Stoke in, I think, the last 16 games. We're still on a good run of form. We're going to get better. There's plenty of positives. It's just going to take time, and we just need a little bit of fine-tuning. But yeah, I'm really happy, and we're going to go places. I think it's just a case of how long it takes us. And yeah, I'm really happy that we're in better shape than a lot of other teams. Middlesbrough is one of them. Look what's happened with Middlesbrough, and they've probably got bigger budget than we have, and we've done really well to replace all our players that we've let go, and we're stronger in terms of quality, definitely.
Yeah. Claudia, how do you summarise the first 5 matches of the season?
We could have won all 5, basically. When you look at the chances we had, we could have. I mean, that's no exaggeration, is it? We've been in a position where we could have done that. So I reckon it's a big. I think it's a B, actually. Why not? It's a small B. How's that? A small B. What Glenn was saying about the run of form, I was looking at this earlier. We've lost 4 in 26 matches. basically. I've included I've counted the playoff as a draw because it wasn't in normal time. And they were Burnley, Stoke, West Brom, and Leicester. And that's who we've lost to in the last 26 games, which is incredible. I think people forget this. We're very hard to beat, and I think the start of the season is kind of what I expected. The next games coming up, we definitely can win all. I think there's 5 coming up, a group of 5 games. I reckon we could win all 5, and I'm not just saying that because I'm off the top of my head and I've had a drink tonight, but we've got the quality there to do it, I think, and hopefully this break gives another few days to get them all gelled together. But I think it's fairly decent. It could be better. We know that, but it's not as bad as people probably think it is. Basically,
yeah. And lastly, Rhys, happy with the start. Obviously, not 14th the league. What's your thoughts on our start?
Yeah, I agree with Claudia. I think we could have won all 5. To be honest, I think we've said before, we're a completely new team, new style. We've lost our 2 best players. All we got to do is look at teams like Middlesbrough. I mean, we just beat them in the playoff semi-final, and they were quite a strong side. But overall we look a better team, and the 2 week, the international break now will help the team on the training pitch again. More time with each other. I think 2 weeks closer to O'Hare being back, hopefully. I'd probably say if he's back by October, November, I think we've got another option there. Alan possibly coming back who can fill a gap. He doesn't set the world alight, but I think we have missed that energy in midfield, to be honest with you. I think, again, we were talking about Sunderland where Sheaf wasn't great, and I thought Eccles wasn't very good yesterday. And the problem is we need them 2 guys to step up. And I think on the flip side, Sheaf was good yesterday and Eccles was great against Sunderland. So I think overall a solid start. I think we'll be disappointed that we haven't picked up 4 points over the last 2 games, but new team in transition, and I think we're only going to get better throughout the season, and hopefully we can put a run together and we'll click soon. I think Hadji White as soon as he gets another goal, he'll hit form, and hopefully Sims at some point gets his head together and gets a goal as well, and maybe that will lift his confidence as well.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's have a quick break. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit about transfer window, overall business, and then any other business after that. Any comments? Please keep your comments coming in. I'll read out a few more about the crazy own goals because that's kind of been the theme of tonight's show. So I'll get those read out after the break. So stay tuned.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.
Welcome back to the Sky Blue Fans TV podcast. Okay, let's go bring out a few more comments about crazy own goals involving Coventry City. Paul Hughes, as Claudia mentioned earlier, about the Lee Dixon chip. He was at the game. Ian Pimlich, I say. Steve Staunton scoring an own goal from a throw-in playing with Villa. I don't remember that actually. Was that in the 90s? I'm trying to remember what game that was. Do you remember that, Claudio?
I think. If it's the one I'm thinking of, is he thinking about the game when they played against Birmingham, Villa Blues? That was but I thought.
Yeah.
That was the keeper.
Yeah.
And I think the keeper touched it and it went in, and it was classed as an own goal.
That was one of the Birmingham family on the pitch, wasn't it? And
Yeah, I think it's that one.
Yeah, fair enough. Willie Donaghy says with Blythe in goal. I don't remember that one. What was that one? It was a friendly before the World Cup in '78, and it pretty much was a shame because Jim Blythe should have played in goal for Scotland in that World Cup, and
it basically put him as a reserve. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. Nation Radio Coventry, Tony. Gary Thompson against West Ham, own goal, League Cup semi-final 1981. I don't remember that. I wouldn't remember that because I was born in 81, so I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, he was chasing the ball back, and he went to play it back to Les Seeley, and he put it underneath him. Straight to the net. Then he went down the other end and scored a couple of goals. So he got the win in the last minute, 3-2.
Fair enough.
Okay,
let's just change tack a little bit and talk about the summer window. Obviously, one signing we made, Liam Kitchen. Go to you, Claudio. Do you think Kitchen's a player, A, that we need, and B, is he a player that could be starting for the whole match, possibly? Do you see him coming to the team?
After yesterday, he will be starting, I reckon.
Yeah.
And he will. I think he will, because Latibaudiere and Casey Palmer are playing on the Wednesday with Jamaica. They don't come back till Thursday, and we're playing Friday.
Yeah.
So either him or Binks will be playing against Hull City away. And it'd be interesting who comes in for Palmer for that one. But the Barnsley fans, they feel we've paid a little bit too much for him, but they're ringing his praises. They're saying he's a bit of a cavalier, likes to get stuck in, likes a booking apparently. He sounds like a young Fads, basically. He likes to maraud up the pitch. Apparently, he loves go, and they can be used as a wing back as well.
Yeah.
So, but we needed more bodies, didn't we? And I think we're all right for midfielders. You've got a huge selection at the minute once they're all fit, and even up front, there's only so many players you can carry. So I think another defender was right, and Fads isn't going to go on forever, is it? I mean, he signed just the 1 year, hasn't he? This contract.
Yeah.
So he could be gone at the end of the year for all we know. But I think it was great. It was great though to get somebody in the last minute, wasn't it? I mean, when's that happen? Never.
Yeah.
I was out with my mates on Friday, and around about 10 o'clock, I thought, oh, no, we're not going to sign anybody. That's it. And then I think 7 minutes before 11 o'clock, I was getting messages saying we've signed a player. I thought, no, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
So I was pleased with the window. With the third highest spenders this window in the Championship. So I was Leicester 38 million, Leeds 31 million, and we're 26 million.
We are 26 million, but then again, we've recouped.
Oh yeah, with the others, I mean, in terms of but in the past, would we have spent that? That's the key, isn't it? We'd have looked for cheaper options, put it that way.
Yeah. But I agree.
Yeah. So no, I'm pleased. Yeah.
Yeah. Rhys, how do you assess the transfer window overall?
Overall, it's good. I think just saying we spent 26 million there. When have we ever done that? I think this time last year we got Palmer in, and we got a few loans in. So I think it's nice that we've got the defenders on long-term contracts, because that gives them time to bed in. I think, like you say, with Fads, as long as he can play, I think he keeps playing. But on the other hand, how long is his legs going to last? A bit like Liam Kelly, really. So we've got the long-term replacement there in Kitchen, by the looks of it. Apparently he's a bit of a natural leader as well. I think he was Barnsley's captain, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, a good signing. Where does Binks come in now? I think he's important on loan. Does he get a game anytime soon to prove? Because we haven't seen anything of him. So the only thing that concerns me is if he doesn't get any minutes, does he get recalled? I think that's the only question we've got. So I think this time last year it was the same conversation with Doyle. I suppose he didn't play much, and I think this time last year at Norwich he got taken off. We were there, Mark, couldn't we? So I think he got taken off at half time, or just after half time. We thought, blimey, and look how he turned out. I just think, we've got competition there, which is good, which is what we need. Overall, I think the wing backs are good signings. De Silva's got to defend a little bit better, but going forward, he's good. Overall, I think Sims has got more to do, but I'm sure he's got plenty of time. We're talking 5 games in, really. But overall, I'm quite happy. And yes, we have. I think with the fans at the moment, I've seen on the forums. I don't know why I go on it, to be honest, a lot of the time, because some of them are saying, "Well, we haven't spent all of that money." people have got to understand how a business works. We've got wages, we've got, the operations of running a football club. Not all of the 35 million we get will go on the squad. And if we've spent, 26 million of that, I mean, that's brilliant. You look at the years gone by where we sold Maddison, Wilson, you can go on and say we got undercut our prices for quality players. And to be fair to Doug King, he stood in and said, no, Gyökeres is going for this price. If you want him, you'll pay. And, you look at Pirro, who's gone, I think Akpom has gone, and they've gone for half his price, and they're all on a year left on their contract. So fantastic business, to be honest. And Hadji Wright, I think he's going to be great. He's showing signs already how good he's going to be. So overall, a good window. I just think we needed probably one more, possibly a lone striker in there just to make up the numbers, because all it takes is one injury to Wright or Sims or Godden. Godden's history that he's had injuries. Hopefully he's behind that. But you take one of them 3 strikers out, then it leaves us quite short. And all it takes is another knock and we're in big trouble. So I would probably like to have seen an extra striker brought in. But, in January, I expect us to probably spend a little bit more. Not loads, but I think we'll probably see 1 or 2 more in.
I think the one guy I like to have seen coming was O'Brien. It's a shame he went to Middlesbrough, because I think he would be a cracking signing for us, Lewis O'Brien. I think that's the only one I was hoping that we'd get. There's some rumours flying about John Swift as well, but I never thought that was going to happen, because I think Swift he's earning a lot of money. I don't think we could offer him that sort of monies. But I think overall, I'd say it's a 7 out of 10 window. I think it's been a good window, and I think you're right. I think we are a striker light, because after Godden, Hadji, and Ellis Sims, a bit Kwu, and Tavares coming back from injury, who I don't know when he's going to be 100% fit. I feel a little bit light there. We do have midfielders, but we don't have anyone with the quality like we have, like a Hamer type of player, someone who can go back, win your tackles, and then link up play and chip in with goals and provide assists and that. I just feel we're a little bit lacking in that department. So, but other than that, I think Kitchen's a good signing. I think he did score a couple of goals as well from Barnsley against Sheffield Wednesday. I think last season there was a couple of goals he scored, which were actually well taken. So, and I think he will play on the left hand side of the 3, I suspect. So I would imagine that possibly Lato Bodier could move to the right, possibly, or he moves to midfield as we suggested earlier. So I think there's options there for Mark Robins. Got a question here from your average COD fan about sort of formations. Looking ahead to future fixtures, one being obviously the whole match. Do we need to switch back to a box midfield, one up front? Claudio, if you're Mark Robins, is that something you'd look to as a plan B, maybe?
I think it's a game by game thing, isn't it? I mean, he did it a lot last season, because although Matty was back, he wasn't really fully fit, was he? So it was almost like we just carried on doing the box midfield as much as possible. I think it just depends who we play against. I mean, away from home, I think that's a good system to put more bodies in that middle of the park. I mean, I think it's a game by game thing. I mean, at home, I don't know. I like to have 2 up front at home. You want to, it just feels a bit more exciting, a bit more pressure on the opposition defence. Because all that's going to happen is we're just going to invite them onto us all game, and it'd be like counter-attacking football, which I think at home it'd be nice to be on the front foot, wouldn't it? And I think that's okay having a box midfield if you've got the 2 guys up top who are absolute quality, who can make chances after chance, and you got 2, the Eccles and Sheaf role. They've got to be solid, for most of the game basically. So I just think it's a game by game thing, isn't it? If you fancy our chances, why play a box midfield? Go with the 2 up top. If you think you might not have much of the ball, you put 4 midfield.
Yeah.
I mean, what he needs to do, he's got players now, and this is what surprised me. He needs to rotate players. It's no good having a squad of players where you can do light for light and then don't play them. Because you look at, I think Watford made 3 changes yesterday. I was looking at some of the lineups from this weekend on the highlights, and they'll say, I don't know, Sunderland made 4 changes and so made 3 changes. You know, we've got to change things around, and that's the way you give players a break, don't you? So there will be games where I think Fads won't play. I wouldn't surprise me. You just put someone as a sub just to give them a break and things like that. We've got to rotate players. It's pointless having a really good squad if you just flog them to death, you know, the first 11.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a question for Rhys. So Sky Blue Sam, thoughts on playing a 3-4-3 formation maybe as a plan B? 2 strikers, Sakamoto as part of the front 3. Is that something you'd like to see, or maybe an extra midfielder? What would be your plan B if you're Mark Robins?
Possibly. I think Hadji White could play up top on his own, and I think Godden could link up well on his own. But if you play Godden up on his own, he's not going to make the runs behind, and I think that's where we will need O'Hare back. Again, it depends on the opposition, like Claire was saying. I think it's more if we play away at Leeds or we go to away at Southampton. I think we've got to nullify them first before we, second half we could, like a lot of the times last season where we played 1 up top and then we went to 2 up top in the second half. So again, it depends on who we're playing. When we're at home, I agree. I think we need to play 2 up top. But again, if we get an injury, then we might end up referring back to 1 up top. Sakamoto, possibly. I'm not sure where his best position is at the moment. I think he's a bag of tricks, and I think he will come good, but he looks a bit lightweight. For the right wing back yesterday, he looked like he's not that type of player. I mean, he could do a job there, I'm sure, but Latabodiere could be the number 2 there, where he can fill in from Milan. Box midfield, I think you need Allen in there, really, if you're going to do that. It's a tough one, because if you want the best out of Palmer, you need to give him the space. And the problem I have with Palmer is, I know he come off yesterday, he's got a little niggling knee injury. How bad that is, we don't know. It goes back to has Palmer got a full 90 minutes in him. I think he drifts in and out of games. I think there's times when he has an incredible 10-15 minutes where he's running the game and scaring the life out of defenders, then he goes missing for half an hour. So I'd want to see more consistency from Palmer in there, really. And if Palmer can get on the ball and create, I think that's where we could cause a lot of problems, to be honest. But a 3-4-3, I'm not too sure. One thing I will say is, when we start having 3 games a week, I know it won't be as intense as last year because of the World Cup, but I think Fads does need to drop out sometimes. I think we need to prolong his career as much as we can. And on the flip side, I think we need to learn how to play without him as well, because he's so organised. I think I saw a quote that McNally come out with that he said he learned more off Fads in that 6 months than he has from any coach. And I think that's how crucial he is to us. But on the other hand, we need to learn to play without him. And maybe if that's Kitchen coming in, then so be it. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'd probably stick with the 2 up top for now. And again, game by game, we'll have to just look at other teams and how they play.
Yeah, I think Glenn's back. Glenn, what's your sort of overall thoughts about Plan B options that Mark Robins could look to adopt? Do you think a box midfield, or maybe 3-5-2? What do you think what would you do maybe if you was Mark Robins?
The problem I have is, last season our success was kind of 1 up front and Palmer off the main striker, and then we had the 3-man midfield. And I don't like Palmer as the 10 and just 2 midfielders and 2 up top, because I think we're far too open. I look at all the games where he's played that role without the 3-man midfield. We've kind of been really open in them. Wrexham being the classic example. We were really open in that game. And the same yesterday. We were just too open. And I don't see the end product with Palmer. So I would like the idea of maybe Sakamoto, when we're chasing a game, Sakamoto goes wide in like the front 3, like one of the other people suggested, and Wright plays a bit from the left, and then it's Sims or Goddard, just to kind of put a bit of pressure on, because we haven't got Vic who drifts wide, and we haven't got the Hamer at the moment, and that's the problem. But we're all a bit samey. There's not really that little X factor that we have, and obviously once we get O'Hare back, we get Allen, even like Tavares, it just gives us that little bit more options. I just think yesterday we didn't really have a lot on the bench, really, game changing wise. And yeah, I'm not sure about Sakamoto as a wing back, unfortunately. But yeah, I would personally like to see the three up top. I just think it's something that can cause havoc. And we've got three really good strikers at the moment. So I just kind of think maybe you could utilise them or Sakamoto as part of it. And he's played that role in Belgium and done all right at it as well. And he's always, in 1v1 against somebody, I think he'll cause them problems because he can run at them. I think his problem is if he has to go through traffic, he gets caught up by someone and they just clobber him or just out muscle him.
Yeah. Go on, Claudia.
We're forgetting Ayari in all these equations as well, because I think he's somebody who can play that number 10 role. I mean, there was flashes of him yesterday, which is a lot better than the week before, when he got on the ball, did a couple of turns and put the ball through. I mean, he doesn't know anybody yet, does he? So I'm thinking, if Brighton's paid 4 million for this lad, when he was like 17 or 18, they must think he's a bit of a footballer. So he's somebody else as well. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's off the back of last season, so close to promotion. We all want the same thing, that natural progression to keep it going. But this could be a bit of a slow burner this season till Christmas, and then hopefully it will properly gel. It's a bit of a conundrum for Robbins now, isn't it? He's got a bit more to choose from, I think. Somebody put a subs bench from one of the games last season, and it was hopeless. It was absolutely awful. And I can remember games where we'd be screaming, "Make a substitution!" And you look at the bench, you're thinking, "You can't make a substitution. There's actually nothing to come on. You might as well put the sub keeper up front or something." There was nothing. Which hopefully this season we'll have a bit more to choose from.
Yeah. Question here. Any chance we sign a free agent midfielder? Anyone who's free that you know of? I'll go to Glenn because he's the man in the know. Do you know any midfielders we could even target? Who's a free agent, maybe?
I think Josh Onoma, who was at Fulham, and I think he was at Villa. I think he's on a free because I've seen him linked with somebody else. I don't know if there's that many midfielders on frees. I think mainly it's centre halves. I know I'd seen a few centre halves because Stoke were looking at them. But Onama's the only one that I know off the top of my head. There might be a few more, but it's whether they've been training with anyone.
I'll tell you that plays free is a striker, Andre Gray. Obviously, quite experienced striker. Is he a player that possibly Coventry might have a little eye on, or do you think he's a bit past his sell-by date? That's a free one.
It's one of those, isn't it? I don't know. It's all down to wages now, I suppose. I mean, some of these guys end up? I'm puzzled how they end up with no club whatsoever when they've been playing at a high level for a few years. There must be something up with them. Yeah. And I don't understand how they end up being without a club. It does puzzle me.
Yeah.
But of course, it depends how much you'll have to pay him as well.
True.
I mean, forwards, I'm not too fussed at the minute. Surely Sims and Wright are going to start hitting goals. That's. But yeah, I've got no idea, Mark, about who's free. There's not even been a list, has there, of issued? Maybe there will be in the next couple of days, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I don't know myself who else is free personally. So I think it's interesting with Ayari how he gets used, and because I'm sure Brighton will want to see him starting games soon, and he hasn't been starting. So it'd be interesting to see whether that changes ahead of the whole game. So that would be an interesting one. And also, we haven't actually played, because the last time we played, I think, 3 across midfield, or like a 3-5-2, was in the playoff final, I think, against Luton, if memory serves me right, and we were pretty poor. So let's just round off and talk about the break. I think, Rhys, overall, we kind of bemoaned last season about the international break being a bad thing, kind of affects the momentum. But I think this is actually a good thing for us, isn't it? That we've got going to a break, because we've got a couple of injuries with De Silva and Casey Palmer and that, and obviously don't know if that means Casey Palmer ruled out for the Jamaica international games. But do you feel this is a good time to have a break from our point of view?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just getting all the lads gelling on the training pitch, and then Robbins and the staff can have a little look and see what our best formula is. I think Ayari, I'd like to see him start. I think Palmer again is showing glimpses, but it's just that final pass where it just doesn't come off. It's that trickery and a shot that hits the target, but the keeper couldn't throw his hat on it. So I'd like to see Ayari play, and then maybe Palmer to come on, because I think Palmer is that guy that can change a game when he comes on. Give him half an hour. But he's had a run of games. I think he had a good pre-season, but that's the options we've got. I think playing Ayari in there, give him a chance. If we play 2 up top against Hull as well, I think he can create some chances. He's shown little glimpses. I think he got caught out a little bit in midfield yesterday when they went on the counter-attack. And, Ben Wilson makes a great save, to be honest. It swerved at the last minute and he done well to tip that over. But yeah, I think, again, like Claudio said, he doesn't really know anybody yet. He's only been there just over a week or a week and a bit. So I think he'll come good. I think he'll be given a run of games as well. And Palmer drops out maybe. But yeah, Sakamoto as well. I think we're at that stage at the moment where Robbins probably doesn't know his best side. He's still getting used to his new players as well. So I think it's exciting. I think that proves that last year were a very not one-dimensional, but the teams that were playing against us, the opposition, will look and know what to expect. And okay, it didn't always work out for them because we had a good run, but we've got different options. So yeah, the break will do us good, get us on the training pitch, and trying to work out what's going to work and what doesn't work. Be a good time.
Yeah. Claudio, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm happy with the break. I think it's just a shame we're playing on the Friday. I don't understand. I think the game should have been called off, to be honest, because we can't play on the Saturday because of the rugby, and we got a game on the Tuesday, have we, afterwards? I think. Yep. So I think it's just poor by the league. Really, it should never be on a Friday when you got players coming back on the Thursday. But they'll probably say your squad's big enough, but it's not right. I mean, Hull are the same as well. So that game could be a bizarre game of football as well, because it just depends what team's going to be put out by both managers. But I think Ayari will start. That's because at the minute, out of all the squad, that's the most natural one to slot in there, I think. And he does demand the ball. I've seen it a couple of times on Saturday where he's asking for the ball, and actually they bypassed him. And I thought, just give him the ball. It doesn't matter if there's a player marking him, just give him the ball and see what he can do with it. But no, I think it's all good at the minute. I'd sooner be us than Middlesbrough, put it that way.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with that. Well, that rounds off tonight's show, and I want to say thank you to our guests, Glenn, Claudio and Rhys. Thanks for coming on tonight. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for everyone for your comments. Sorry I couldn't get to read every comment, but really appreciate that. Next show is Thursday. I think Ken will be presenting that show, so stay tuned for details on that one. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening and watching the show, and we'll speak to you soon. Good night.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.